My husband said goodbye that morning, telling me he was going to play golf. Before leaving, he reminded me sternly to keep his crazy mother locked inside her bedroom. Later, when I brought her food, the old woman suddenly looked straight into my eyes and whispered, "Don't drink those pills. My son is trying to kill you for the inheritance." My hands began to tremble violently. But before the story begins, please write in the comments which state or city you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so the Stories with Meaning channel can continue growing and bring you even more compelling stories. Morning sunlight slipped through the narrow gap between the cream-colored silk curtains, landing directly on the cold marble dining table. In front of me sat a glass of water and a small porcelain dish holding 2 dark maroon capsules. It was a sight I had grown used to every single morning for the past 2 years. "Take them first, sweetheart. Don't miss a single day." The gentle baritone voice came from the kitchen. Adrian walked in, smiling, the kind of smile that always shattered my defenses. He wore a crisp white polo shirt and tailored beige chinos that emphasized his tall frame. In his hands was a bowl of freshly prepared fruit salad. My husband was the very definition of perfection in the eyes of many women, handsome, wealthy, and above all, devoted to his wife. I picked up the capsules, feeling their slick surface between my fingers. They tasted unbearably bitter. "Isn't there another brand?" I asked softly. "They make my stomach nauseous." Adrian set the bowl down and took the chair beside me, his warm hand wrapped around mine, his eyes filled with deep concern. "Clara, we've talked about this many times," he said calmly. "Dr. Henderson said these are the best supplements to strengthen your womb and protect your heart. Remember last year when you collapsed at the mall? I don't want to lose you." As always, his words silenced my doubts. Guilt crept in quietly. How could I complain to a husband who spends thousands of dollars every month on imported supplements just for me? With one large gulp of water, I swallowed both capsules at once. A metallic aftertaste lingered at the back of my tongue, one that always made me want to throw up. But I forced myself to endure it for the relieved smile of Adrian's face. "Good girl," he said, stroking my hair as if I were a child. "Oh, I'm heading out now. The guys from the Riverside Country Club are already waiting. I might be late." I nodded. "Be careful." Suddenly, Adrian's expression changed. His warm smile vanished, replaced by a firm seriousness that chilled the air in the dining room. "And one more thing, Clara," he said quietly. "About my mother." My heart skipped. "Yes?" "Don't enter her room except to leave the lunch tray. Lock the door immediately after. She had another episode last night. Threw a vase at me when I tried to change her. She was rambling about demons and murder. I'm afraid she might hurt you." I lowered my gaze, imagining the frail old woman upstairs. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, had once been elegant and brilliant, but after the accident that killed Adrian's father 3 years ago, her sanity slowly unraveled. Adrian said it was vascular dementia worsened by trauma. "Shouldn't we hire a private nurse?" I asked hesitantly. Adrian sighed, the weary look of a devoted but exhausted son. "She hates strangers. It'll only make her worse. I'll handle her. You just prepare her meals. I can't bear the thought of you getting scratched or hit." He kissed my forehead lingeringly, as if transferring protection into my skin. "If anything happens, text me. Don't call. I need to focus on the game. And lock all the front doors." The roar of Adrian's sports car faded into the distance, leaving behind an unsettling silence in our massive 2-story mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. The house was too large for just 3 people, and too quiet. At 10 a.m., it was time for Eleanor's meal. As I prepared her soft chicken porridge, dizziness washed over me. My vision blurred briefly. The usual side effects of the vitamins. I felt weak, sleepy. Climbing the spiral staircase towards the second floor, the hallway outside Eleanor's room felt unnaturally cold. At the end stood a heavy oak door, more like a prison gate. Adrian always kept the key, but a spare was hidden in the corridor drawer. My hands trembled as I unlocked the door. The room smelled stale, mixed with antiseptic medication. Thick curtains blocked out all sunlight, per Adrian's instructions. "Mrs. Eleanor?" I called softly. No response. I switched on the small bedside lamp. On the unmade bed sat a thin, white-haired figure, her back facing me. "I brought your lunch," I said, placing the tray down. I turned to leave when a voice stopped me. "Lock the door, Clara." The voice was raspy, but clear, commanding, sane. My heart nearly stopped. Eleanor slowly turned around. Her eyes were sharp, focused, terrifyingly aware. She gestured urgently. "Come here, quickly, before he realizes you didn't finish drinking your poison." The world froze. She grabbed my wrist, pulling me inside, silently locking the door behind us. "I'm not insane," she whispered fiercely. "I pretend to be. It's the only way I stayed alive in this hell." She stared directly into my eyes. "The capsules you took this morning, those dark maroon pills, did you swallow them?" I nodded weakly. "They're supplements. Adrian buys them, from overseas. They cost thousands of dollars." She laughed bitterly. "Supplements? Look at yourself. Your hair is falling out. Your nails are lined with white streaks. You have constant cramps. That's not vitamins." Her voice trembled with rage. "He's poisoning you, slowly. Arsenic, thallium, small doses so no one suspects. When you die, they'll say it was heart failure." I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. "He loves me," I whispered. "He treats me like a queen." Eleanor cupped my face firmly. "I watched him kill his own father," she said. "Injected insulin while he slept for the insurance payout." My breath caught in my throat. The truth finally screamed louder than my fear. The image of Adrian, gentle, affectionate, kissing my forehead that morning and preparing fruit salad, now collided violently with this horrifying revelation. "He told you I was insane so you wouldn't believe me," Eleanor continued, her voice trembling with desperation. "He locked me in so I couldn't go to the police. And now it's your turn." "Go on," I whispered, barely holding on to reality. "He needs cash, fast," she said. "His real estate business collapsed last month because of stock gambling. Your life insurance. He increased the premium last month, didn't he? You signed those thick investment documents without reading them, didn't you?" My heart dropped into my stomach. The memory surfaced clearly. 2 weeks ago, Adrian had slid a thick stack of papers across the table, smiling warmly. He said it was for our future child's savings. I signed everything without hesitation. I trusted him completely. "But Adrian is playing golf right now," I murmured weakly, clinging to the last fragment of the life I believed in. Eleanor smiled coldly. She reached beneath her worn pillow and pulled out a flat object, a cracked old cell phone. "Golf," she sneered. "He's not at a country club. He's at a notary's office, transferring ownership of this house into his name using a forged power of attorney, made to look like it came from you." She handed me the phone. "Check the gallery. I recorded his voice last night when he called his mistress in the hallway outside this room. He thought I was asleep." My hands trembled as I stared at the phone. Before I could touch it, the sound of the automatic gate opening echoed from downstairs. Then the smooth roar of a sports car entering the garage. Eleanor's face drained of all color. She snatched the phone back, hiding it beneath a pile of clothes. In seconds, her body bent again, her eyes glazed over, her mouth mumbling incoherently. The transformation was instant, terrifyingly perfect. "He's home," she whispered without looking at me, her voice already slipping back into the rambling tone of a senile woman. "Go, lock the door. If he knows I spoke to you, we'll both be dead tonight." Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs, fast, urgent. Not the steps of a man returning from a relaxed game of golf. My pulse raced in sync with his approach. With shaking hands, I grabbed the untouched food tray and hurried out of the room. Eleanor had already collapsed into the corner, rocking back and forth, muttering about black chickens and rivers of blood. Her performance was flawless. I pulled the solid oak door shut and locked it just as a tall shadow appeared at the end of the hallway. Adrian. He still wore the same white polo shirt from that morning, but his face was tense. He stopped abruptly when he saw me frozen in front of Eleanor's door, tray in hand. "Kara," his voice cut sharply through the silence. "What are you doing there? Didn't I tell you not to stay long in my mother's room?" I swallowed hard, forcing my heartbeat to slow. I was just picking up the breakfast tray," I lied smoothly. "She refused to eat. She even threw a pillow at me. I had to protect her. I had to protect Eleanor." Adrian stepped closer, his dominating presence making me instinctively retreat a step. He didn't respond immediately. His eyes flicked to the door, then back at me. His hand tested the doorknob, confirming it was locked. "Good," he murmured to himself. Then he sighed deeply, his face softening into concern. His right hand rose to cup my cheek. Cold. His touch was ice cold. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I was worried. On the road, I had a bad feeling. I was afraid she might hurt you. That's why I canceled golf and came straight home." His voice was gentle, perfect, like the most caring husband in the world. But Eleanor's words echoed in my ears. "He's at the notary." "So you didn't play golf?" I asked casually. "The weather's beautiful today." Adrian shook his head, exhaustion carefully painted on his face. "I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about you, especially after you said your stomach felt nauseous this morning. I was afraid you'd be alone with that mentally ill woman." "Adrian," I said softly, "she said something strange earlier." Silence. For a fraction of a second his eyes narrowed, then relaxed again. "What did she say?" "She said not to take the pills you give me. She said they're poison." I dared to meet his gaze, searching for fear or truth. Instead, Adrian laughed. Not cruelly, but warmly, like a parent amused by a child's nonsense. "Oh, Kara," he said, shaking his head in pity. "Last week she claimed she was an alien trying to kidnap her grandchild. Last month she said our gardener was a spy. And now, poison?" He squeezed my shoulders gently. "Listen to me, Kara. My mother is sick. Her brain is damaged by trauma. Dementia makes people paranoid. She invents stories to make others hate me, because in her delusions, I'm the villain." His eyes glistened. "It hurts," he continued softly. "I'm her only son. I pay for all her treatment. I clean her messes. And yet, in her eyes, I'm always wrong. And now you believe her ramblings over your own husband?" Guilt crushed my chest. Seeing tears in his eyes shattered my remaining defenses. How could this man, crying in front of me, be a murderer? Maybe Eleanor was truly ill. Maybe what I saw was just a brief lucid episode mixed with delusion. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "Shh." Adrian pressed a finger to my lips. "It's okay, you're confused. Pregnancy hormones can do that. Go rest, I'll take care of her." He took the key from my hand, opened Eleanor's door, and stepped inside. The door shut behind him. 1 minute passed. Then, shouting, crashing sounds. Eleanor's hysterical screams echoed from inside. "Ungrateful son! Get out! Get out!" A loud thud. Silence. The door opened. Adrian stepped out, breathing hard. His white polo shirt was rumpled. A long red scratch ran down his neck, bleeding. "See," he said weakly, holding his wound. "She's getting worse, still insisting she's sane." Horror washed over me. My doubts evaporated instantly, replaced with pity. "Oh, God, Adrian, let me clean that," I cried. Later.
The ride-hailing taxi I was in stopped in front of a white-painted commercial building with a blue sign that read Protea Prime Clinical Laboratory, now rebranded here as Prime Core Clinical Labs. My fingers clenched my handbag tightly. Inside it, wrapped in tissue paper, were 2 dark maroon capsules, the same pills I had hidden under my tongue that morning and discreetly spat out after Adrian left the house. I had to know the truth. I had to prove that Eleanor was wrong, that my husband was an angel, not a devil. "Clara Williams?" the receptionist called. I stepped forward and handed over the sample. "Could you please check the chemical contents of these capsules?" I said. I suspect my housekeeper may have swapped my diet supplements with over-the-counter pills." The lie slipped out smoothly. "All right, ma'am, since this is a basic toxicology screening, the results should be ready in about 2 hours. Please have a seat." 2 hours felt like 2 centuries. I sat in the cold waiting room, surrounded by strangers coughing, clutching X-ray envelopes. My thoughts drifted backward, to the day Adrian proposed on a California beach, to his solemn vows at our wedding, to every small act of tenderness he'd shown me. Impossible, I told myself. Adrian cried when I was sick. His tears were real. "Mrs. Williams?" A middle-aged doctor stepped in. "Please come inside." This was Dr. Henderson. His expression was grave as he held a sheet of lab results. My heart pounded violently against my ribcage. "Please, have a seat," he said, adjusting his reading glasses. "You said these were diet pills?" "Yes, or vitamins. I'm not entirely sure." He sighed deeply and slid the paper toward me. "Ma'am, it's a good thing you had these tested. These are not vitamins and certainly not diet supplements." He pointed to a series of figures and chemical names I didn't understand. "These capsules contain a mixture of methotrexate and trace amounts of inorganic arsenic." My breath caught. "Methotrexate is typically used in chemotherapy or to terminate ectopic pregnancies. If taken regularly by a healthy woman," he said gently, "it can permanently damage the uterus, cause severe hair loss, and gradually weaken the heart muscle." My ears rang. Permanent infertility, heart failure. So for the past 2 years, every morning, the same hands that stroked my hair were the hands feeding me poison. "Mrs. Williams, are you all right?" Dr. Henderson touched my arm. Tears fell silently, one, then another, until my vision blurred. Adrian didn't want children with me. He didn't even want me alive. He was killing me slowly, smiling every morning as he did it. "Thank you, doctor," I whispered, grabbing the report and shoving it into my bag. I stumbled out of the lab. My legs felt like jelly. The sky had turned orange. Dusk was settling in. I had to go home. back to the predator's den before he suspected anything. When I arrived, Adrian's car was already parked neatly in the driveway. Warm lights glowed from the living room. Through the window, I saw his silhouette on the couch, casually watching television. The perfect picture of a happy family. I inhaled deeply, wiped away the last traces of tears, and put on my best smile. "Hi," I greeted. Adrian turned, his smile wide. "You took a long time, sweetheart." He stood and walked toward me. In his right hand, a glass of water. In his left hand, 2 maroon capsules. "You forgot to take your afternoon dose this morning," he said softly. "I checked the medicine box. It was still there." He held the pills right up to my lips. "Go on, take them now while I've already prepared everything." His calm voice now sounded like a death sentence. I stared at the capsules, then into his eyes. Gentle, deadly. He waited. Under the dim living room lights, the capsules glowed red, like 2 drops of coagulated blood, begging not to be swallowed. "Why are you spacing out?" Adrian asked, smiling faintly. "The water's getting warm." My heart hammered wildly. Every instinct screamed at me to throw the pills in his face, to scream that I knew everything. But logic restrained me. If I refused, he'd grow suspicious. If he knew that I knew, both Eleanor and I might not survive the night. I forced a stiff smile. "Sorry, I got a bit carsick earlier. My stomach's still upset." "That's why you need these," he coaxed, brushing my cheek. "They'll help you with your stamina." His touch, once comforting, now felt like an icy blade. With trembling fingers, I placed the capsules into my mouth and swiftly tucked them under my tongue. I gulped down the water, tilting my head back as if swallowing. The bitter coating dissolved beneath my tongue. "Good girl," Adrian said, taking the empty glass. "Now take a warm shower and get some rest." The moment he turned away, I half ran to the guest bathroom downstairs, slammed the door and locked it. I gagged violently. The capsules slid into the toilet bowl, soft, their red dye bleeding into the water. I flushed hard, watching the evidence disappear. Then my body collapsed onto the cold tile floor. There I was, Clara Williams, wife of a successful businessman, curled on a bathroom floor, hugging my knees, crying silently. I wasn't crying because I feared death. I was crying because hope had died. For years I had served him, cooked his meals, washed his clothes, cared for his sick mother, prayed every night for a child. And the man I trusted with my prayers was the man killing every unborn possibility. He wanted me gone, slowly, so he could enjoy my wealth and marry another woman. "Clara, are you okay in there?" Adrian's voice. "I'm fine," I croaked, splashing water on my face to hide the swelling. "Just a stomachache." "Don't take too long. I'll be waiting in the bedroom." That night, the mansion felt like an underground prison. Every corner seemed to watch me. The bedroom, once my heaven, now felt like a lion's cage. Adrian lay on the bed, phone glowing in his hand. He smiled faintly at the screen. Before, I thought he was reading stock news. Now I knew he might be texting the woman whose perfume lingered on his shirt, or counting the days until my death. I lay down with my back to him, pulling the blanket to my neck like armor. "Good night, sweetheart," he whispered, wrapping an arm around me. His embrace froze my entire body. I was sleeping next to my future killer. Hours passed. When Adrian's breathing grew heavy and steady, I carefully slid his arm away. I needed air. I tiptoed to the door and turned the handle. Locked. My heart skipped. We never locked the bedroom door. I checked the nightstand. No keys. Only his phone, face down. Cold dread crept up my spine. He hadn't forgotten. He had locked me in on purpose. Suddenly, his phone lit up. A message preview glowed brightly in the darkness, visible from several feet away. From an unknown number. You increased the dosage tonight. Don't fail like last year. My blood turned to ice. Like last year. October. Last year. I'd collapsed after our anniversary dinner, diagnosed with acute typhoid and mild kidney failure. I'd been in a coma for 3 days. Adrian cried at my bedside. Everyone praised his devotion. But now I knew. That wasn't typhoid. That was his first failed murder attempt. My kidneys and my heart had saved me. And Adrian must have been deeply disappointed that I survived. My hands shook as I reached for his phone. I needed to know more. Holding my breath, I lifted it slowly. Adrian stirred, then settled again. The screen demanded a passcode. I didn't know it. And in that moment, I realized I was locked in a room with the man who had been trying to kill me for years.
Adrian was obsessively protective of his digital privacy, always claiming it was for business security. But I knew he was asleep, deeply asleep, probably because he'd had a glass of red wine earlier that afternoon, just like the receipt said. With the courage of someone who had nothing left to lose, I gently reached for Adrian's right hand, resting on the pillow. His fingers were warm, heavy. Slowly, carefully, I pressed his thumb against the screen sensor. Unlocked. Quickly, I pulled my hand away and rolled onto my side, hiding the phone beneath the blanket so the glow wouldn't wake him. My fingers moved fast as I opened the messaging app. The last message was from a contact named Notary Rachel, Property Affairs. A clever alias. If I hadn't found the restaurant receipt earlier, I might have believed she was really a notary. I scrolled upward, reading months of conversation. Every sentence shattered what little love I had left for the man sleeping beside me, Adrian. She's taken the capsules, but she threw up a little this morning. I'm afraid the dosage wasn't strong enough. Notary Rachel. Don't rush it, Adrian. If you push too hard, an autopsy could detect arsenic residue. Slow and steady. Make it look like a heart attack during sleep, just like the original plan. Adrian. I can't wait. The house already has a buyer. The down payment alone is enough for us to move to Switzerland next month. Notary Rachel. Be patient. The life insurance pays out 14 business days after the death certificate is issued. A total of $650,000 is more than enough to live in luxury for the rest of our lives. Tears dripped onto the screen, blurring those vile words. $650,000. That was the price of my life in my husband's eyes. But that wasn't the real shock. My finger tapped the profile picture of Notary Rachel. The photo expanded. A young, beautiful woman with long, wavy hair, smiling brightly while holding her visibly pregnant belly, about 7 months along. Beside her, Adrian wrapped an arm around her waist, kissing her cheek. I clamped my mouth over my mouth, swallowing the scream lodged in my throat. The woman wasn't a stranger. She was Sarah, Adrian's distant cousin. The same Sarah who had lived in our house for 6 months 2 years ago, claiming she was job hunting. Polite Sarah, helpful Sarah, Sarah whom I often praised in front of Adrian. All that time, right under my nose, they had been playing with fire. And that swollen belly, Adrian's child, the child I could never give him. There was a photo message sent 3 days earlier, a 4D ultrasound image. Notary Rachel, Sarah. Look at our champion, Adrian. That nose just like his father's. He needs a legitimate name on his birth certificate, not an illegitimate child. Take care of your infertile wife as soon as possible. Adrian, this week, I promise. My world collapsed, then burned to ash. The pain of betrayal transformed into something colder, pure hatred.
Infertile. The word stared back at me. They celebrated her pregnancy on top of my planned death. Suddenly, the phone vibrated. Battery low, 15%. I hurried to put the phone back on the nightstand, but before closing the app, a calendar notification flashed on the lock screen. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., meeting with real notary. Asset sale. 7 p.m., romantic dinner. Final dose. Final dose. Tomorrow night. I had less than 24 hours left. He planned to give me the lethal dose during dinner, maybe slip it into my food, then let me die in this bed. I needed to put the phone back, now. As I shifted carefully, my elbow struck the glass of water on the nightstand. Crash. The glass shattered across the floor. The sound ripped through the silence. Beside me, Adrian jerked awake. I froze, still holding his glowing phone mid-air. The screen light exposed my tear-soaked face, twisted in terror. Adrian sat up, eyes red-shot from sleep. His gaze locked onto the phone, then slowly moved to my face. The room fell into a suffocating silence. No tenderness, no affection. His expression went blank, emotionless, like melting wax. "What are you reading, Clara?" he asked, his voice hoarse and chilling. The question hung in the air like a death sentence. If I admitted I knew about the arsenic, the plan, the final dose, he wouldn't wait until tomorrow. He would kill me now. I had to lie. I had to become the foolish wife, hurt by love, not threatened by death. With trembling hands, I threw the phone onto his chest and screamed, "Sarah!" My voice cracked as I sobbed. "You're cheating on me with Sarah, your own cousin? You got her pregnant?" Adrian caught the phone, studying my face. What he saw wasn't fear of death, only jealousy. A broken wife. His shoulders relaxed. He underestimated me. Adrian scoffed, then chuckled. "So you found out," he said casually, placing the phone back on the nightstand. "Good. Saves me the trouble of making excuses for the divorce." "Why, Adrian?" I asked quietly. "What am I lacking? I took care of you, of your mother." "You're infertile, Clara," he snapped. 5 years I waited. I need an heir, not a decorative wife wasting money on useless fertility drugs. Sarah can give me a son. What can you give me? His words pierced my chest. Yet strangely, that was the moment I became fully awake. My love evaporated, replaced by icy clarity. He was no longer my husband. He was my enemy. Adrian stepped out of bed, picking up glass shards with his bare feet. "Enough drama," he muttered. "I'm tired. Go to sleep. We'll talk tomorrow." Within minutes, he was snoring again. Confident, certain I'd spend the night crying. He had no idea I was staring at the back of his neck with murderous resolve. I didn't sleep at all. Morning came. Adrian dressed sharply in an expensive suit. His cologne masked the rot beneath. "Dress beautifully tonight," he said while fixing his tie. "Romantic dinner, a proper goodbye before the divorce and my marriage to Sarah." Sweet, I thought bitterly. Sweet with poison. "Yes, Adrian," I replied obediently. Once he left for the notary's office in downtown Connecticut, I dropped the abused wife act. I grabbed a glass of water and a small fruit knife hidden in my pocket. Then I went upstairs, to my mother's room. I locked the door behind me. Eleanor sat in her rocking chair, gazing out the window. She looked at me, her eyes sharp. "You saw his true face," she said flatly. I nodded. "He plans to kill me tonight." Eleanor's jaw tightened. "You won't run," she said. "If you do, he'll hunt you down. He owns corrupt cops. You'll be declared unstable or institutionalized." "I won't run," I said firmly. "I'll fight." A thin, terrifying smile appeared on Eleanor's lips. She reached under the bed and pulled out an old metal biscuit tin. "I've been waiting 3 years for this." Inside were unmarked vials, powders, and an old voice recorder. Horse-dose sleeping pills, industrial laxatives, and this, she lifted a cloudy liquid, extract of datura, hallucinations, temporary paralysis. She gripped my hand. Tonight, don't just survive, make him drink his own poison. But first, she warned, we need his confession on tape. I nodded. One more thing, Eleanor added, eyes gleaming. Switch his wallet, take his platinum ATM card, drain it now. We need war funds. I smiled for the first time in 24 hours. My phone buzzed. My darling wife, I booked a private VIP table. Wear the red dress I bought you, my favorite. I typed calmly. I'm ready, Adrian. I'll look so beautiful you'll never forget tonight. I hit send. Yes, Adrian, you'll never forget it, because tonight will be your last dinner.
After closing my mother's bedroom door carefully, I didn't waste a single second. Adrenaline surged through my veins, erasing the exhaustion and fear that had paralyzed me the night before. I was no longer the obedient Clara. Today, I was a thief in my own house. I moved quickly toward Adrian's home office on the ground floor. The room was always locked, but I knew where he hid the spare key. Under the fake monstera plant in the corner of the hallway. Adrian was too confident. He thought I was too stupid to ever search his things. The key fit. The door opened. The scent of expensive tobacco and masculine cologne rushed at me, making my stomach churn. I went straight to the abstract painting behind his desk. Hidden behind it was a steel safe embedded in the wall. My heart pounded. I didn't know the combination. He once told me it was our wedding date. With trembling fingers, I tried it. Beep, beep, beep. The red light flashed. Wrong. Of course. Why would I be that foolish? Our wedding date meant nothing to him anymore. My mind raced. I remembered the date printed on the ultrasound photo Sarah had sent the night before. Maybe it was the baby's due date, or her birthday. Then it hit me. Sarah had celebrated her birthday in this house 2 years ago. February 14th. Valentine's Day. How cliché. How disgusting. I entered the numbers. 021495. Click. The sound of the lock opening felt like a hymn from heaven. The safe door swung open. My eyes widened. Stacks of cash, thick bundles of red and blue bills, several gold bars, velvet jewelry boxes filled with diamonds he'd claimed were lost or stored at the bank. So this was it. He'd been hoarding everything for his new life with Sarah. Without hesitation, I swept it all into an old duffel bag I found in the closet. Cash, gold, jewelry, everything. Then I found Adrian's passport. With a cold smile, I took it and later buried it in the kitchen trash beneath fruit peels. Without his passport, his dream of escaping to Switzerland next month was nothing but a fantasy. After securing my war funds in the trunk of my car parked in the back garage, I returned to the master bedroom to prepare. The clock read 6 p.m. I showered, scrubbing my body as if I could erase 5 years of Adrian's touch. Then I slipped into the burgundy satin dress he loved so much. The dress clung tightly, accentuating the curves he'd spent years belittling. At the vanity, I did my makeup. Thick foundation concealed the dark circles under my eyes. I applied deep red lipstick, matching the dress, matching the color of the poison capsules he forced me to swallow every morning. I stared at my reflection. The woman in the mirror was beautiful, elegant, and her eyes were ice cold. "You can do this, Clara," I whispered. My hand slipped into the hidden pocket beneath the folds of my dress, checking the small vial of datura extract Eleanor had given me. Clear liquid, strong enough to paralyze his motor nerves without knocking him unconscious. He would be awake, aware, helpless. Perfect for confession. A car horn sounded outside. He was home. I descended the stairs with the grace of a runway model. Adrian stood waiting in the living room, dressed in a tailored black suit, hair slicked back neatly. When he looked up and saw me, surprise flickered in his eyes. Perhaps he hadn't expected the wife he'd been slowly poisoning to look this radiant. "Wow," he murmured, his fake smile blooming. "You look stunning tonight, darling, just like when we first met." "Thank you, Adrian," I replied sweetly. "I dressed up especially for you, so you'll always remember my face. Until you rot in hell," I added silently. We drove through the evening traffic of downtown Connecticut, romantic jazz filling the car. He held my hand, kissed the back of it. I let him. I even squeezed back. Let him feel victorious. Let him believe his plan was flawless. The higher he flew, the harder he would fall. The car stopped in front of an exclusive fine dining restaurant overlooking the city. A hostess opened the door and escorted us to a private VIP room on the top floor. Soundproof, glass walls, city lights glittering below. One table, 2 chairs, candlelight. Intimate, silent, perfect for murder or execution. Adrian pulled out my chair. After the waiter poured mineral water and took our order, 2 tenderloin steaks and a bottle of 1998 red wine, the door closed. We're completely isolated from the world, celebrating our love. I knew behind his gaze he was counting minutes until the poison. The waiter returned with the wine, poured it into 2 crystal glasses, then left. This was it. "Adrian," I said softly, "could you grab my purse from the chair behind you? I brought you a small gift." He looked surprised, but pleased. "A gift? That's new." As he turned fully to reach for the bag I'd placed deliberately out of reach, my hand moved like lightning. I pulled the vial from my dress, twisted the cap with my thumb, and dropped 5 drops of datura into his wine. The liquid vanished instantly into the dark red wine. Just as Adrian turned back, the vial was already hidden again. "Here you go," he said, handing me my purse. I raised my glass. My heart thundered, but my hand was steady as stone. "To our future, Adrian," I said gently, meeting his eyes. "May all our secrets and dreams come true tonight." He chuckled, unaware of the irony. "To forever, Clara." He drank. 1 sip, 2. The poison his own mother had prepared now slid down the throat of his ungrateful son. He set the half-empty glass down, sighing with satisfaction. "This wine is excellent." I smiled, genuinely this time. "Wait 10 minutes. You'll feel much better soon." But suddenly, Adrian reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a small black box, not a ring box. Inside were 2 maroon capsules I knew too well. His expression turned serious, loaded with fake concern. "Oh, darling," he said, "before we eat, don't forget your evening vitamins. You threw up this morning, right? The doctor said tonight's dose needs to be doubled." He placed the capsules beside my plate and stared at me insistently. "Come on, love. Why hesitate? You want to get better, don't you?" Cold sweat slid down my spine. Time slowed. Inside Adrian's body, the datura was already creeping toward his nervous system, but for now, he was still conscious, still strong, still dangerous. If I refused, the act would collapse. I inhaled deeply, steadying my racing heart. My right hand reached out. "Of course, Adrian," I said calmly, surprising even myself.
for our future. I placed the capsules into my mouth and lifted my glass of water. I swallowed. But like before, my tongue worked swiftly, hiding the capsules inside my cheek behind my molars, while the water slid down my throat. Adrian watched my neck, saw the swallow. His smile widened, relieved, satisfied. "Good girl," he said, leaning back. "Now we can enjoy dinner." 5 minutes passed. The waiter returned with sizzling steaks. Adrian began cutting his meat, but his movements were off. The knife struck the porcelain plate too loudly. Clink. He frowned at his hand. Strange, my hand feels numb. I smiled faintly, cutting my steak calmly. Maybe the AC is too cold, or did you overdo it at golf today? He shook his head, blinking rapidly. His pupils dilated unnaturally. "My head feels heavy," he muttered, his speech slurring. He tried to stand, bracing on the table, but his legs wobbled. He staggered. "Adrian, why are there 2 of you?" That was my cue. I set my knife and fork down gracefully, took a napkin, dabbed my lips, then spat the 2 maroon capsules onto my untouched steak. Adrian stared. His eyes widened as confusion melted into horror. You? His finger trembled violently as he pointed at me. "Sit down, Adrian," I commanded coldly. "Not a request, an order." He tried to resist, but his legs betrayed him. He collapsed back into the chair. The datura paralyzed his motor nerves rapidly, trapping his consciousness inside. Adrian tried to speak, but his tongue wouldn't cooperate. "Poison?" he croaked. "Yes, poison," I answered flatly. "Methotrexate and arsenic." I leaned closer, my voice steady. "I know everything, Adrian. I know about Sarah. I know about your illegitimate child. And I know about your plan to kill me tonight so my $10 million life insurance would be paid out." His eyes bulged. The veins in his neck stood out as he struggled to move his paralyzed body. His breathing grew erratic, panicked. I pulled an old-fashioned voice recorder from my handbag, the one that belonged to Eleanor. A red light blinked. Recording. "Now I want you to talk," I said calmly, placing the recorder directly in front of his face, "while it's just the 2 of us." I picked up the steak knife from his plate, dragging its sharp tip lazily across the white tablecloth. "Who planned the arsenic doses, you or Sarah?" "Ah, pain," he groaned, sweat beaded on his forehead. "Answer me," I snapped, slamming the knife into the table, 1 inch from his limp fingers. The fear in Adrian's eyes exploded. He no longer saw me as his wife. He saw me as death itself. The hallucinogenic effects of the datura were fully taking hold now. Perhaps my face looked monstrous in his warped vision. "Sarah," he hissed with effort. Tears spilled from his eyes. "She said if you died, we'd be rich." "Good," I said, smiling faintly. "And your father, why did he die so suddenly 3 years ago?" Adrian shook his head weakly, trying to deny it. I leaned in, my gaze drilling into him. "My mother saw you inject him with insulin, Adrian. Tell the truth, or I'll scream right now and tell everyone you tried to rape me here." "Mercy, Clara, mercy." He broke completely. "Yes," he sobbed, "I injected him. I needed money for gambling debts." Click. I turned off the recorder. Evidence secured. A full confession, premeditated murder, and a past killing. "Thank you for your honesty, my husband." Suddenly, the VIP room door burst open. Not a waiter. a heavily pregnant woman stormed in, wearing a tight designer dress. Sarah. Her face was flushed with rage. Behind her stood two large men, hired muscle. "Adrian, why are you taking so?" She froze. Her eyes widened at the scene before her. Adrian, paralyzed and sobbing in his chair, and me, standing calmly, holding a steak knife, smiling coldly. "Clara?" Sarah screamed. You're still alive?" "Hello, Sarah. Or should I call you Mrs. Notary?" "Perfect timing," I added. "You've come to pick up this piece of trash." Sarah stared at Adrian, then at me. Hatred burned in her eyes. She understood. The tables had turned. "Kill her!" she screamed at the men. "Get that recorder! Don't let her leave alive!" The thugs advanced. The cramped VIP room became a battleground. I backed away, hit the table, gripping the knife tightly. "Don't come closer," I shouted, raising it. "The police are on their way." A lie. Sarah laughed sharply. "Enough. Now." One of the men lunged. I dodged, but he slapped my hand away, sending the knife skidding across the floor. I fell hard. He pinned me down, hands closing around my throat. Air vanished from my lungs. My vision darkened. "Die," Sarah hissed over me, laughing wildly. "You barren woman." At the very moment my lungs screamed for oxygen, crash! The glass balcony door shattered, not the police. An elderly figure with wild white hair leapt in from the adjacent balcony, wielding a baseball bat. "Don't touch my daughter!" Eleanor's voice thundered, strong, furious, nothing like a frail old woman. The bat came down hard. The thug choking me collapsed instantly. Eleanor stood over me, breathing hard, eyes blazing as she faced Sarah and the remaining thug. Behind her, restaurant managers and security rushed in, panicked. She had caused a disturbance on the neighboring balcony to force her way in. Sarah stepped back, pale as death. The crazy old woman had turned into a lioness. "You think I'm insane?" Eleanor spat, then pointed the bat directly at Sarah. "I've just been waiting for the right moment to send all of you to hell." Police sirens wailed below, closer, louder. I smiled through my coughing, looking at Sarah as she trembled. "Game over," I said softly. "Checkmate." The double doors burst open. This time, police. Armed officers flooded the room. "Don't move. Hands up." Sarah screamed hysterically, stumbling backward until she hit the glass wall. Her face drained of color. The hired men dropped to the floor immediately. I stood, straightened my slightly rumpled red dress, and walked calmly towards the commanding officer. In my hand, the old recorder. "Good evening, officer," I said steadily. "My name is Clara. I'm the wife of the man hallucinating in that chair, and this is my mother-in-law, Eleanor. We are victims of attempted premeditated murder." I handed him the recorder. "This contains my husband's full confession, arsenic poisoning, and the murder of his father 3 years ago. Please secure it before the battery dies." The officer nodded sharply and signaled his team. "Cuff them all." What followed was pure satisfaction. Sarah, once so smug, thrashed as her arms were twisted behind her back. "Let go!" she screamed. "I'm pregnant! You can't arrest a pregnant woman!" She turned to me, sobbing. "Clara, please, tell them. I was just following Adrian. I'm a victim too. I'm carrying your nephew." I stepped closer until our faces were inches apart. "My nephew?" I asked coldly. "That child has no blood relation to me. And don't worry, prison has a maternity clinic. You won't give birth alone." She spat at me. I didn't flinch. The police dragged her out, her curses echoing down the restaurant hallway until they faded.
Then came Adrian. The datura was at its peak. He couldn't walk. 2 officers dragged him like a sack of grain. His eyes rolled wildly, foam at his lips. "Turn off the lights," he babbled. "Dad, why is your face broken? Please don't take me." He passed Eleanor. She stood tall, leaning on the baseball bat. She looked at her only son with an expression impossible to read, sorrow mixed with absolute judgment. "Mom?" Adrian whimpered. "Help me! Adrian's scared." Eleanor didn't move. She didn't cry. Her voice was calm. "The son I knew died 3 years ago, the day he injected poison into his own father. You're nothing but a greedy stranger." Adrian screamed as he was dragged away, a sound that chilled everyone in the room. His business empire, his escape to Switzerland, his new marriage, all destroyed in one dinner he believed would crown his victory. 6 months later. The scent of freshly brewed jasmine tea drifted through the cool morning air. I sat in a rattan chair on the back porch, overlooking a garden now beautifully maintained, green, blooming, peaceful. "No more weeds," Eleanor said, setting down a small plate of my favorite pastries and sitting beside me. She looked transformed. Her white hair was neatly cropped, her face healthy, her eyes sharp and alive. No more worn house dresses. She wore an elegant modern cotton outfit, simple, confident. "Thank you, Mom," I said, taking a bite. Sweet. Life changed completely after that night. Adrian's case dominated national headlines for weeks. Mother-in-law and wife expose psychopathic husband became the story everywhere. The recording was irrefutable. Adrian was sentenced to life imprisonment and transferred to a psychiatric ward, his mind never fully recovered from the datura and his guilt. Sarah gave birth in prison. The child was taken into foster care under Child Protective Services. Her family refused any connection. As for me, Dr. Henderson confirmed the poison had fully left my body. My hair grew back thick, my skin regained its glow, and most importantly, my womb recovered. The doctor said it would take time, but hope remained. Eleanor and I won the civil lawsuit. All assets Adrian stole from his father's company were returned. Everything was legally transferred into joint ownership. "Overshadowed again?" Eleanor teased gently. I smiled.